Greetings everyone, here's Lodrick again, and this is the game War in the Pacific Admirals Edition. This is now my second campaign and play-by-email match against KilRoy. Here is also, this was just now my mini submarine in Pearl Harbor hitting one American battleship. The West Virginia getting one torpedo hit. But this mini sub's only carrying this 45 centimeter torpedoes, so they don't have really so much explosion capacity. Maybe flotation damage 10, something like this, 10, 15 maximum. I would say 10 is enough. Good, so this is now the second match, and I talked already in the last turn of my old match with KilRoy already about this. This is scenario 1, and still no mods or something like this. The big difference is now that this is a map of 27 beta, so there is some changes to the map, mostly for the allies, but also all over the place. Plus that KilRoy get in this match the benefit of functional Mark 14 or American torpedoes, air torpedoes, and also submarine torpedoes and surface torpedoes. This is the only big change. I mean, these are the two big changes. A new map, a new version, and a slightly better starting position for the allies. The rest is still the same. Good. And this is in now December 7th, the surprise attack. But with my own setup, so not the original setup. And this will be a very long turn, so I have maybe to skip some stuff a little faster. And you can compare this, I mean, I don't know if you really want, but Jochen also just starts his new campaign, his second campaign with Jochen. Normally it's his third campaign because Jochen already have now 2 matches he plays in Japanese. One was very short. And he maybe I don't say he copied me, but at the end he also go for the Manila strike and not the Pearl Harbor strike or for a set strike. So this is now my carriers going for Manila, but I split up my carriers. I never go all concentrated. And this is first a sweep to clean the air of Manila, because I also allow KilRoy to set up a cap up to 30%, I think. He can go for cap if he wants. So maybe he uses this and try to defend his airspace. So this is only a sweep over Manila first. But you can see there are many Warhawks. So I'm not sure if this is a real, or maybe KilRoy moves some aircraft around, but so far I know is he can move all his already existing Navy task forces on the map, but don't create anything new. And I also told him he can make up to 30% the cap wherever he wants with everything what he have. So normally not moving around aircraft. So, but anyway, we have here losses on both sides, but okay. This is now my main strike out of Taiwan. You can see that I use my my Zero bombers for fighter bomber duty in this case. They're only carrying 60 kilogram bombs, but this is enough to create damage on submarines, that they get flotation damage and that they maybe cannot dive more so well. Good. Luckily my sweep was already there and get rid of most of the cap fighters. And now I have here a lot of bombardment. I destroy some Warhawks. I lose my own planes. What you cannot see here, this is missing in the game, is what kind of bomb it is. A 60 kilogram bomb, 25 kilogram bomb. No, 25 I think. 250 and 50. We have here a lot of ships getting damaged, maybe not immediately sunk. 60 kilogram bombs. 800 kilogram bombs. A lot of 800 kilogram bombs. We'll see. I just realized that I think my zeros don't carry the bombs. They're only making strafing. No, some zeros making, or maybe it's double. Some zeros making a bombardment from 100 feet. Yeah, okay. And some making strafing, anyway. It was an okay attack on Manila. It is, yeah, and of course the idea was that I go now heavily for Manila because I agree that KilRoy have working Mark 14 torpedoes, so his submarines in Manila have a much higher threat potential for me. So I go now and say I must make sure that the submarines in Manila are all dead. At least everyone is in port, is out of action. I think 24 or 27 submarines are there. So I don't want to start with heavy American submarine fleet near Japan already in the first months. So more bombardments. More sunk directly or heavily damaged. Genau. And here is my zeros making a port strike. Here is working with 60 kilogram bombs. Good. And these are my nades. I think they're going for airfield attack. They don't really have much better use. The attack was not really successful. Not many airplanes getting destroyed. Only a lot of damage on the ground, but not damaged airplanes. This is some army bombers preparing for my amphibious assault. This is, I think, Santa Fe. The classic attack on Kota Baru airfield. A lot of damage, mainly also some destroyed, but mostly damaged airplanes. This is only, all of these airplanes the Allied player can rail out. So it's very hard to destroy them if you don't, it's not impossible, there's no skill that you can make an immediately attack on this field, at least not in scenario 1. So it can only damage, then the Allied player will always rail them back to Singapore and repair them. And after 1 week maybe everything is repaired. But at least 1 week all of the airplanes are maybe out of action. So more attacks on the port. And this is some, early on the Japanese aircraft or Air Force in China is not so strong. I try to only create as much damage as possible. I always choose some hexes, clear terrain, and where I can see that the units are moving or will move likely. Also the next airport, this is the same. It's only damage airplane. You cannot I can destroy them, but main purpose is only get them out of action for 1 week, so that I can complete my landings with not too much Allied airstrikes trying to sink my ships. So it's more suppressing, not destroying. Now we have a lot of sinking in Manila. San Fernando, not Santa Fe. Yeah. I choose San Fernando simply because it's the last or the most northern hex still connected to the rail, so that I later, if I land Air Force equipment there, that I simply can change it to strategic move and then rail it to Manila. And it's also, I think, an airport level 3, so it's have capacity that you can immediately get local air cover in the Philippines. And I think this is very important for the Japanese, that they don't must fly out of Taiwan cap, long range cap. So now we have here some enemy airstrikes. I also land in Kuantan. I think this is also important. At least you need Kuantan if you, well, I don't say you must, but if you won't go for Mersing, I think you need an airbase in range. With it you can air cover. So I take Kuantan mainly because I want later, in some days, go for Mersing. So British attack me, but they have no chance. And here I have only some nade fighters. Not that they can do anything. Luckily they also have not very skillful pilots, so nothing really happens here. This attack, luckily no torpedoes. Second bigger attack against my Kuantan landing formation. But this airstrike completely is shattered. The Buffaloes are dying, the Hudsons cannot reach my ships. So I'm using 2 carriers of the Kiliputai for more or less protection of my assault on Manila, and 4 carriers are going for Manila port strike. This is a balance, but you can shift this around. But it is the number 1 goal is really take out American submarines in Manila, and at the same time with more or less the same priority is protect my landings in Kuantan to make sure that there is no high casualties at the first day. Nothing really special, nothing too crazy, not the Mersing landing day 1 or something like this. So the Blenheims are able to penetrate the zeros, but luckily no hit on my carrier. Now the wildebeests are coming. The half of the, if this was not good or bad is always hard to say. Half of the bombers already returned to base, so I cannot kill them. The rest I can kill, so if they don't return, I can kill them all, but they're British. They always run away to drink more tea. Yeah. These are Australian fighter bombers. Also no chance. The medieval swordfish. And like Bismarck, they also are able to somehow find the target. But this time they're getting, or they find no hit. And at least on the way out, I can kill them all. So, and this was already the air war. So, up to now, no hit on my own ships. This is now the landing. San Fernando. Unluckily, this bombardment have no hits on the units. And at the same time, I have my battle cruisers going for EBA. Mainly purpose is destroying here the air wings on the ground. I think here are P-40Bs. Oh, E's. And the difference is here that there's no rail connection to Manila or also to Clarkfield. So if they are damaged, they cannot leave the hex. So even if I damage them only, and because there's I think no repair center, or at least not much, it will be hard for KilRoy to get these fighters out there. At the same time, I go also for Mindanao, because he is also an air HQ. It is weak now at the beginning, and so I want to simply get rid of this threat. Not that the allied player, in this case KilRoy, have an air HQ in the source of the Philippines and can use here any torpedoes. 250-pound bombs will not really do anything, and even 500-pound bombs are not so bad compared to a torpedo. So it's a secondary task only, but I won't get rid of this. I want normally Luzon in the north and Mindanao in the south. Luzon in the north, yeah, and Mindanao in the south. Get rid of both islands at the same time. Some landing issues, but this is normal. More bombardment, more stress for the Filipinos. Also landing Cotabaru in Kuantan. This is all a little broken stuff, but important is that they find the location where they want to go. No. So no contact and interception with Fort Seth or any other American cruiser. And this is only the little fighting in the turn 1, pushing the Chinese out of this hex so that they jump in the swamp, and they can stay there forever if they want. I gonna go into the jump. I never go in the swamp more again. There's a waste of time. Also attacking here. And here you can already see that in China a lot of additional bases are created, but not only in China. This is a new map. And this is my forces landed already at the beach, but only my 2 parachuter units can attack here. And I was hoping but this is always luck. That I suppress the Allied forces strong enough that they simply walk in. Because as parachuter troopers, they don't really have enough attack value. But unluckily, I cannot get the 1-to-1 kill ratio. So I cannot take the base at day 1. That is the only missing part of this first turn. If I could take this San Fernando in the first day, I could immediately transfer my 0 fighters from Taiwan to Philippines and have local air cover. But no, it was not to be, so I have to wait one more turn. So we arrive now 7th December, so this was the opening turn. I think it's, well, nothing crazy, really very standard. Day 1, Allies lost 61 airplanes and the Japanese 8. Again, I mean, these are true numbers, and these numbers here are a little fake. But, yeah. P-40 is getting destroyed and Buffalo is getting destroyed and other equipment. Out of my 8 airplanes, I lost 5 pilots, because these are all, I think, losses over maybe Manila. I had, I think, some 0 losses. I also have one guy already with 3 kills. It's like similar to the last time, because they must give air cover in Kota Buru. So they have always a lot of pressure at the beginning. Ship sunk for the Japanese. All these mini submarines. But nothing else. Not even a damaged ship so far, I know. And for the Allies, of course, heavily fog of war. We have here a bunch of submarines. And nothing else. So this is, of course, not true, but I don't believe all of this, and I really don't care. This too much. Simply, if they are dead, then they are dead, and if they're not dead, then they're heavily damaged. So they're out of action, that for sure. And maybe what else you can see at turn 1 is army loss points. Is, of course, we don't have really yet. Only, I think, 1 or 2 battles. So nothing too much. A lot of units getting disabled. But for disabled, you get no points. So only for killed army units you get points. So the big change here, again, the skin of this mod map skin is for the 26B, but this is 27B map. So what you see here is not all true. If you really want to see what is true, you can first see the streets, or then you can already see that here is something changing. So this highway is not more here. Also, the crossing of rivers are completely different to the original map. There is no bridge. This is more or less like you must cross the river via a ferry or whatever, a small boat. So they make it lowest. And the biggest change is this also belongs, I mean, because in the road there's no bridge, and then there's also no railway bridge. So you can see that you can only rail your units from Nanjing to Shanghai and here in the source, but you cannot rail them from Shanghai back to Manchukuo and from Manchukuo to Shanghai, or also from Hankow to Manchukuo. It's no connection, because here is no river, or here is no bridge, and here is also no bridge. What you can do now, what is new, is you can, out of Manchukuo, you can rail them a little more close to Xi'an, but you can still not connect them here. So here is also no bridge. But a little better. At the end, this always slows down the Japanese. It slows down Japan, and it's a benefit for the Chinese. And it's more historical correct. If all of this British, if there was really no bridge, I'm not so sure. I never checked this completely. But yeah, this is one of the big changes. that the new map have other road and rail setup, and this you can see here. So you must not trust what you can see here on the map. You must always check it with the button. You also have a lot of new bases. This also slows down the Japanese, so you can more or less walk from one hex to any hex you want in a line if there's nothing between. But if you want walk here down this road, because there is a road, you cannot do this now more, because every dot base is a base and you must always conquer this base. So you must walk into this hex, then wait one turn to take the hex, even if there's no enemy, and then you first can continue to walk. So it will slow down the Japanese. So maybe they also did this to give the Chinese player a little more time here, but you can also build now here in every hex a new base and build up more defense. And at the same time, you get here always a little, this is for the Japanese player, I think, I don't know. All of these dot bases, you can see they have a little light industry, a little resources. Not all of them, but most of them. So there are now many additional dot bases, and they all have a little light industry, but only light industry and resources. No additional oil, and I think also no additional heavy industry. That is, I think, the big change here. There's also a lot of dot bases here all over in Burma. This is, I think, related to, because in reality, there was a lot of struggle here around this mountain pass. And with this dot bases, I think it's possible to build up here maybe additional airfields or something like this. Because if you really want, you can build airfields everywhere you want. If you need only to get the ground a little flat. And for single engine fighters, I think it's much easier. I mean, 4 engine fighters bombers are something else, but 1 engine and twin engine fighters, bombers, I think you can get a airstrip ready more easily everywhere you want. Maybe not in the swamp, but everywhere else. You also have here more dot bases. So at the end, this map have much more dot bases. On many new and old bases, they have additional industry. There are also 2 big, so far I only found 2, complete new resource center. This is in Malaya. Here's a big resource center, and here's a second big resource center. So far I know they are not in the original game. This is a lot of resources you can produce here, and this gives the Japanese player the option. He can get the resources out of China and transport them back to Japan, or you can get them now here out of Malaya. But then you must ship them back with ship, and then you have this ship route sailing, and then the allies can intercept them, and so. Yeah. But at least you have this new option. For the allied player, I cannot see it because I use the skin now, but if you use the original map, what you can see is that there are here much more bases, and they are also really here. But because I use the skin, they are not well easy to see. So KilRoy used the original map, because then he can see it much better. But again, the map is really only for show. It's only a skin. It has nothing to do with the function. So you have here now Gibraltar and Alexandria and Port Said. So this is Egypt. And I think here's also some more town. Yeah. And then India, I don't know if they really changed anything in India. There are also here a little more stuff. Pakistan is here. Oh, yeah. But this is all for the allied stuff, so I really don't know. I don't have I have nothing to do with this. For me, more important is the rail and the road connection in China. This is the biggest impact. But there was also some smaller stuff, like in the Philippines, it's not so always so easy to see, but like this, in this skin, this base is now here in the water, but it's not in the water. If you push the one button, you can see the true terrain, and then you can see that this hex is now jungle. And there's also road inside. So sometimes they change a little here and a little there, and if you use this kind of mod skins, maybe now already there's something new, I don't know, but I use this mod skin all the time, and I think it's okay. You get very easily used to it, and it's to 90% or 95% it's have no impact. And you must only make a double check and realize, they change here something or they don't change it, and what is new, and you get very easily used to it. Good. So my main landing was here in San Fernando. Unluckily, my parachute, my drop parachute guys was not able to win the battle. Not so many was. It's always with scenario 1. I think you don't have so many transport airplanes in range, so you cannot unload too many units. And it's more related to how good is your bombardment, how much you can suppress the Filipino forces here, because they have normally the numbers, that for sure. And if there are 200, 300 parachuter guys dropping, normally they have never a chance if they're not from Germany. And the enemy is Belgian, then normally it will not work. But I have here already landed some forces, so I will take this city, or this base for sure next turn. And then I must rush as soon as possible normally for Clark Field. At least for me, it's always the idea that try to get rid of Clark Field as soon as possible, even if you must wait to take Manila. Clark Field is normally highest priority. Because this is the only hex, and this also never changed. Even here, you can see this is triple terrain and this is triple terrain, but the rest is only, this is double. And this is only one single. But Clark Field is still triple terrain, and I still think it's maybe I don't know. I don't know why they don't change it, or I mean, of course, you can always say there are some mountains belonging to this hex. Yeah. Anyway. I also was able to land here some troops. This is a smaller army, but still powerful enough to hopefully take. Because all of these Filipino forces in Mindanao, they are weak at the beginning, similar to Dutch units. They are 2/3 out of action. So even if you send only small forces of Japanese skilled troops with enough supplies and some support bombardment, you can overcome normally the enemy. So we will see. So I have only small forces, and this is only what is ready, and more is coming. But I won't take Mindanao. Normally it's really Kagarian in the north. And Davao, but the AIHQ is here, then it's maybe we'll jump back to this city. So there's 3 cities in the north and Davao. This is the most important. Okay, so and my carriers are here. I had my airstrike. Now it's time to leave. And I will normally go with 3 carriers, Shukaku, Zuikaku, and Kaga. Going for Truk and Akagi, because it's the big one, I will send back to Japan, and then I will reform all my air wings to create more additional capacity for my Navy air fleet, because only Akagi have the option to create air wings with a size of 90. Because you can always go one higher, so 81, the next level is 90, and then you can split 90 to 3 times 30. Then you have 3 air wings, and each have 30. And then you can, no one say you must make this air wing later 30 airplanes big if you don't have the capacity on your carriers. You can make it simply so big you want. Well, if you see there's no space more left, then you only put maybe an air wing with 27, with a maximum 30, only 25 airplanes inside. The flexibility, you can always make it smaller, but only this carrier is able for the Japanese, and there's nothing else coming. So if you lose this carrier, you don't have the ability more to make something 90. Yeah, that is the reason why I more or less take Akagi out of action for the first 2-3 weeks of the war and use it heavily to reform everything as soon as possible and then send back to the front line. Good. No Allied submarine intercept here my landings. So I have in Kota Bru a small but strong enough force only to more or less push you from the north and take care of this. It's not so important, it's only to clean up normally. The main force is in Kuantan, double, so nearly 300 here, over nearly 700 here. Once I take this base, and I always take Kuantan, only that I have then much better, then I have the option to make a long range cap locally for Mersing. Because nothing, I hate nothing more than losing amphibious assault troop transport ships loaded full with units one step from my target away, and then it's, yeah. I think the Japanese also cannot afford this too much. Good. And here are the two other carriers. Here you and so you. And this air wings already had here 14 kills. No losses, but 14 kills in one turn. And this one was for striking. Because I was not sure if KilRoy coming with Fort Z. But luckily he was not. Now I must try to unload here all the equipment. So I really only go for these two bases in Malaya. Nothing really else. I really only go all for San Fernando and for Mindanao. So I have 4 landings all over the map. High concentration. So I don't, because this is also scenario 1. If you compare this with Jochen's game, you must always keep in mind, Jochen plays scenario 2. He have much more equipment at the start, much more air force. Normally he have much more air force and much more small warships. I think not many, maybe 20 additional destroyers or something like this. And at least I think 30 or 50% more airplanes. And of course a ton and much more supplies in oil. But this is normally the big difference to scenario 1, that you have much more destroyers, much more air force, and also much more factories. So the whole logistic R&D industry aspect in scenario 2 is much easier. This is why it's normally for a new Japanese player, start with scenario 2, understand the system, and then change to scenario 1 once you have enough experience. And don't try scenario 1 maybe at the beginning. It can end badly, very fast. Good. So I don't go for Guam immediately. I don't go for Wake. Simply, Wake is dangerous, in my opinion. If you don't have your carriers nearby, you can also not land in Wake. Because the allied player knows that you don't have your carriers here now. So he can be here next turn if he wants. So I don't even try it. And I also don't think that Wake is so important. But this is only my opinion. Good. But what I do immediately is trying to organize a landing for Rabaul. But I also don't must be Rabaul this turn or next turn. Because so long I want first have my carriers nearby. I don't want to send any invasion assault group task force in the direction where I know enemy cruisers can be here or enemy ships can be here. If the allied player really won't go full speed, then he can also be here before I can finish my loading and taking the Rabul. And I need also some equipment to make sure that if there's something coming, I must at least make sure that whatever arrive here will get killed and cannot leave more. Maybe KilRoy can attack me, maybe he can sink some of my cargo ships, but every cruiser, destroyer will show up here, my carriers will take care. And if KilRoy is coming here with carriers early on, then I have something to battle with him. So, again, it's scenario 1, you have everything what you are losing, it will never come back. So I play it a little more safe, and I know that KilRoy plays so aggressive, so I think aggressive play, if he play aggressive, I don't want to play too aggressive on my own. So I try to counter this with a little more slow, steady, and more backup forces, and play it safe, let's say this. But not too slow. Maybe fast, but safe. I don't know how this is possible, but I try. Yeah, so no big surprise. Nothing more I can say about this. I can show roughly very shortly. In this game, I go for H32 with 2 factories and H33 only with 1 factory. And I use this additional factory for a third H35. This is related to the choice I made. I start with, you always start with A6M2 roof. And after this, normally the next in line of this airframe is A6M5. And this will still use the H35 airframe engine, this one. In my first game with KilRoy, I skipped this airframe, I go directly to the A6M8. A6M8 don't need this engine. This other airframe needs a 33. But because I don't want to go for M8 directly, I go for M5. So I don't need this engine too much. This engine has now the lowest priority, more or less, for me. The highest priority is still H34, because Helen is always the first airframe asking for engines. And now very soon after, normally the 0 will come with H35. But this is only why I changed this. And yeah, air production, there's nothing really to see. It's only, I make also a little production of B5N1 because there's not much difference between both of these. Airframes are okay, torpedo bombers. And this one, user engine is not more under production. So I think you start with 150 engines in pool. So I can produce 150 torpedo bombers. Then I'm out of engines, and then I will change this factory or stop the production simply. Yeah. And this is the machine. I mean, I don't change it too much. What I will normally go is maybe for like 80 Zeros production and 80 Oscars. I have 2 factories for the Oscars because Oscars you need much more in shorter time normally, but you also need Zeros. But I only go with 1 factory because there's a problem. The AMD you can always upgrade without any problems, but this factory you cannot change to the new edition A6M5 directly. This is not the upgrade path of this factory. So if I will change this factory later on, it will get damaged. So I will not go too high because I must rebuild it later. But there is no way around this normally. Good. The last information is only my R&D, so I go for roof because 0 fighters you need some upgrade. Latest in 43 you need something better. I also skip now, or I only go for the A6 M2 ZEM, so I don't go more for the M3, the land-based A7. Maybe it makes really no sense. You can always go for the B6N1, even if you don't need this engine, but you only try to get this airframe ready. Once the factory or the R&D tool is ready with 30 factories, you simply change this to N2. And then there's no problem more. So then you save some time because this factory is related to 5th of 43. The N2 is October 43, so you can save 5 months. It means you can get, it's more easily to get this factory ready. And once this is all ready, you would simply change this. You can see it's still 14. You don't lose anything. Very easy. But if I go now backward, then it will not more work. Because then I lose. Because this is not the right way to upgrade. But yeah, I mean, if you play this game, you know always these rules. So, some other stuff I use and choose. I have here 2 factories for the Jack B. Simply only because I say, the Jack B have a 20mm cannon. So, I mean, it's not a fighter. But at least you could say the Jack is something like a support cap fighter for your cruisers. If there is some Catalina coming, I mean, don't expect that you can fight anything else in a Catalina. But maybe, I don't know if it's really a big change. But no, the normal Jake have nothing, so better something than nothing. And the rest is very standard, I think. I only push a lot of Helen with the idea that if I push so many factories in the Helen, I can get early on done with this. Once I am finished with this, I can change all these R&D tools for maybe more strength. Because the R&D factories, I think in Helen are finished in June of 42. So in June of 42, I can maybe change all of the 6 additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 factories for something else. Yeah. Okay. Good. Enough for this. Let's see how this game will continue. And yeah, hope to see you again. Take care. Bye bye.